Okay, it's 3 a.m. and I'm just about to start a 772-mile trip home from Indianapolis to Holden Beach, North Carolina. That will almost get me through my entire break-in 1,000 miles. So the trip normally would take about 12 hours, just normal driving. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I'm going to make sure to drive in the recommended way for break-in period, which is keep it under 4,000 RPMs and don't do it for long times or distances in one gear or at 1 RPM or speed. So I'm going to be varying that 4th, 5th, and 6th gear, but always keeping it under 4,000 RPM, varying that between 2 and 4,000 RPM over time. So we'll see how that all goes. Welcome to my channel, Game of Life 411. I hope you watch to the end where you see the odometer cross 1,000 miles as I cross the coolest bridge in North Carolina. This is my first video since taking delivery of my Lotus Emira. I've been waiting 3 years since placing a deposit, and I've been chomping at the bit to create a bunch of new Emira content. So if you're not already a subscriber, you're going to want to subscribe and turn notifications on so you can be notified whenever I put out new Emira videos. And I've already got about 20 Emira videos and tons of content on other fabulous cars. Not to mention my hip replacement vlog and new content on finance, family, health, and career. So join me in winning the game of life. I didn't intend to drive nearly 1,000 miles within 24 hours of taking delivery, but the timing coincided with a very busy period of life. That said, I'm glad I did it because now I can fully enjoy my Emira. The handcuffs are off. So if you'd like to knock out your Emira's break-in quickly and do it right, here's how you do it. I think I'm ready. Like I said, it is 3 a.m. That wasn't exactly my plan. I would have preferred to sleep till about 6 a.m. and then get on the road and get going, but I just wasn't able to sleep last night, so I thought I'd go ahead and get on the road and get going. If you know my story, then you know that my dad was a big part of this, and he attended reveal events with me, and for the last 3 years he has said every couple months, I can't wait, Pete, I just hope I make it to go for a ride with you in your Lotus Emira. Well, Dad passed away a couple months ago in March, just as they were delivering the first Lotus Emiras to customers here in the United States. So while he couldn't make it, I was trying to think if there was a way to honor his request. My dad was cremated, so I decided to bring him along. I've got some of his ashes here, and I'm going to actually keep those in the glove compartment. I think with me probably indefinitely. I think Dad would approve. I'm not under any illusions that this is actually my dad, but it is his remains. I want to treat those with respect. And I think he would be okay with the idea and actually like the idea of going for a ride with me. So Dad's with me in this, and I'll try to remember to provide updates as we go through the journey. Yeah, so let's go. I'm 1 hour into the journey, so it's about 4 a.m. So I thought I would take an opportunity to stop here at a rest area, as I said, for the break-in period, just varying everything. And I thought, why not let the engine shut off and the car cool down for 5 or 10 minutes and pick up some water and something like that. I hope this video is actually visible. I don't have any lighting here in the cabin. That's a little strange. So we're just relying on ambient light. So far, first impressions are very positive. I have noticed some thoughtful touches. For example, down here, there's the cup holder, and it's got this subtle light that is around the edge. Generally, I'm not a fan of having a bunch of extraneous lights in the cabin, but this is very subtle and it's actually helpful. Helps you find your cup holder and stick your cup in the right place. The car drives great. I tried driving it, just letting the steering wheel go by itself to see if it pulled either left or right. And really, it doesn't appear to. If I'm on a left lane of the highway, it'll slowly start to veer left. If I'm on the right lane of a highway, the same, it'll kind of slowly veer right, but I assume that's just because of the drainage camber of the highway surface itself. Otherwise, seems to drive rock solid straight. Everything's working well. Navigation, cruise control. I really like cruise control. Because of the break-in, I want to vary my gearing and RPMs, and I can leave it in cruise control at a constant speed, push in the clutch, and shift to a different gear, and the car is automatically keeping the acceleration at a moderate level, right? So it's not like over-revving the engine when you release the load from the transmission. So that's very cool. I really enjoy that. So anyhow, the journey continues. My first sunrise in the Emira. It's a new day of Emira ownership. Oh boy, there's There's a crazy deer in the center. He just ran across. It's kind of a beautiful sunrise. It's 7 a.m., so I've been on the road for about 4 hours, and I stopped for breakfast. I got at Panera my favorite guilty pleasure, which is the orange scone, so I'll be enjoying that with an iced coffee on the rest of my journey. I also am here for my first refill, which I'll show you in just a second. So things are going well. As you can see, I'm dressed pretty comfortably for the road. Okay, I'm here for my first fill up, and I love the fact that this thing is a capless fuel filler. So you just stick the thing right in there and no problem. One of the things to note that I mentioned in a previous video is the positioning of the cup holders relative to the gear shift. And it really is kind of in the way. Now, this rear cup holder is lower and further back, so that one's not as in the way, but I'm hitting the straw. And, you know, my arm is basically resting on the cup. So there's something to be desired about the positioning of the cup holders. Yesterday, right after I got the car from the dealership, I went to my sister's house where my mom is also living. And my 79-year-old mom came out using her cane to check out my new ride. And her first reaction was, well, those two gaps are not the same. That panel's not aligned properly. I'm like, what? And sure enough, she was right. So what she's talking about is the center of the hood here. And if you look, that gap up there is very different from that gap there. And then there are some other things you can look at where you can notice the difference. For example, the gap here is wider than the gap here. And if you look inside, you can see that this is touching. It's very tight, whereas if you look on the other side, there is a clear gap. So that panel is not aligned properly. And I'll show you a little bit closer here so you can see with my finger, you know, it's almost, my pinky could almost fit into that crack there. But if I come over here, not even close, right? So it's much narrower. So I will have to talk to the dealer about that. I was a little concerned, especially that these two panels are touching, because there could be some rubbing and wear from that. But at any rate, we'll be dealing with that with the dealer. So good job, Mom. This cover over the start button is interesting too. Some people say that it's a takeaway from Ferrari, but when I was at the dealer yesterday, he kind of cheated. And I'll show you, like normally you lift it up and you press the button, but what he did is he just stuck his little pinky in there to start the car, right? Which works fine. I think having done it now, rather than lift it and press it with the index finger, which you would think is kind of your natural thing, for me, what I'm finding is I'll lift it with the index finger. So I'll kind of go like this and then press it with my thumb. That seems to be the most efficient and natural motion for me. So anyhow, we'll see how things evolve. Lotus has done a great job of carrying forward some traditions to the Lotus Emira. But now that it's sunrise and daylight out, there are some traditions that I wish they had forgotten about and changed. One of those is the tradition of having useless sun visors. So in my Lotus Elise, and I'm not the only one that's done this, the sun visors are so useless that many people remove them. And in the Lotus Emira, the sun visor is not quite as useless as that. It's not completely useless, but they could have made it a lot better. So for example, here's the sun visor. And as you can see, it does not fully block the windshield. And for those of you who drive with the sun, you'll know that no matter what the situation, if you can't block the entire windshield, that is where the sun is going to shine through. So they missed an opportunity there, because if you see how it folds up, there's actually enough space here that they could have made it a little bit bigger, or they could have even had a little hinged piece or something that would extend out the side so that they could cover that full visible area. That would have just been so nice. The other thing that they did where they missed the mark a little bit is when you flip it to the side, you know, here it can block some sun, but I mean, that's one small part of the windshield. And if I'm sitting back here, you know, there's a lot of windshield here that's not being blocked by the sun visor. Many sun visors today have an extendable plastic extension that you can just pull out, or they will slide on this, right? So this could actually move, so I could slide the whole thing this way to block the sun no matter where it is. So it doesn't move. I tried. I was hoping that it would slide on this thing, but it does not. So, unfortunately, not a perfect sun visor. One of those traditions Lotus is carrying forward. The other thing I wanted to document at this stop was that when I came out from getting a soda, there was a mom. She said that she had actually pulled over at a different business and her son saw it and made her come over here so he could get a picture. And he asked permission to take a picture, and I asked him if he'd like a picture with the car, and he did. He was very appreciative of that. So anyhow, that's my first sort of like fan sighting, or I'm not sure what you call it, but where someone is coming up and approaching the Emira, because really so far I haven't been around people very much. So, enjoying the trip, about halfway as I said. Can't wait to get to the end though. Bye. The odometer is over 800 miles now, and it's less than 24 hours since I took delivery of my Lotus Emira. I am just trying to get through the last little bit more than an hour of my drive from Indiana to North Carolina, or I will drive through North Carolina for over 4 hours. From end to end. And I'm dragging because it's 4 p.m. so I've been driving now for almost 13 hours and it's really taking its toll. 2 hours ago I stopped and got a 5-hour energy to try and boost my energy level for the last couple hours, but I can still feel it. So I'm glad to almost be done with the drive and looking forward to getting to the beach and seeing everybody there. Well, I've really lucked out with the weather. It has been pretty nice the whole time, not fully sunny and not raining. And now with less than an hour to my destination, just getting a very light rain. So I guess that's good. At least I get to try the windshield wipers. I don't think it's going to be enough rain to wash off the bugs and the grime. There's a lot of bugs and stuff on the front of the car. But I did have my son bring some car cleaning supplies to our beach house, so I'm going to try and wash it tomorrow and get rid of the majority of it anyhow. We'll see how good the PPF and the ceramic coating perform. Okay, that's 868.7 miles in less than 24 hours. That's a total of 15 or 16 hours of driving. I was on the road about 14 hours today, and I drove 1 or 2 hours yesterday, sort of shakedown drives. I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't have any problems on the very long drive today. So I'm calling that victory. That is essentially break-in. If anybody wants to quibble about, oh, it has to hit 1,000 miles exactly, otherwise, you know, at 999 miles, you haven't broken it in, it's going to explode. You know, they can argue that if they like, but I consider this primarily broken in. That said, I'm not going to take it to the track tomorrow and thrash it around, but I'm not worried about it anymore. I'm just about at my 1,000 mile break-in. Woohoo! 1,000 miles! We are officially broken in. Thanks for watching. I thought it was important to document this epic journey where I broke in my Lotus Emira within 24 hours of taking delivery. I shared some of my first impressions of the car and some of the features, and these were all admittedly very minor things. This was really good for me to help me stay alert on the long drive. But don't be mistaken, the Lotus Emira is a gorgeous car, it performs admirably, it's a lot of fun to drive. Driving any car during the break-in period is admittedly a little bit sedate. But now that I'm past that break-in period, I can't wait to explore all the fun and functionality of this car.